Hi everyone, today we are going to be demonstrating a treatment called Tightsculpting. This is a treatment in order to deal with localized fatty deposits through the heat of the laser. So we are using the Nd:YAG laser with the piano mode for deep tissue heating, but in addition to that we are using as a second step the Nd:YAG with smooth mode in order to deal with the superficial layers of the skin for more tightening and collagen stimulation. So this is a really very unique treatment where we are not only getting rid of the fat, but also we are tightening the skin and stimulating the collagen. Very unique feature of the SP Dynamis, a machine which is having so many applications. And this is something, again, which is very particular about this machine. We are not doing only lipolysis, skin tightening, stimulating of collagen, but also we have so many other indications for that device, and this is only one of them. When we are using the laser for tightening, we need deep tissue heating. But at the same time, it was found that when we are increasing the temperature of the subcutaneous tissue and the fat up to 43, 45 degrees Celsius, and we maintain that for about 5 to 8 minutes, this is going to induce some lipolytic effect. Something which we all need, and this is being done in a very non-invasive manner where there is no downtime and there is no consumables. So this is another feature of the treatment we are going to conduct today, that it is non-invasive and it is not going to be having any consumables. We can use that treatment for any part of the body, not limited to the abdomen or to the thighs. We can use it at any site we need to do, and it's suitable for all skin types, from skin type 1 up to skin type 6. We don't have limitations with the darker skin types, and this is a great advantage. So this is what we are going to demonstrate today, and we are going to show you how to set up the machine, and then we are going to see the treatment itself. So now when we are going to set the machine, we have three options. We have the Nd:YAG, we have the Nd:YAG, but also we have an option called Twin Light. Twin Light are the applications where we are going to be using both the Nd:YAG and the Nd:YAG in different steps. So this is where we are going to be using this machine. We select the Twin Light. In the Twin Light there are several options, and one of them is the Tightsculpting. So this is what I'm going to press. With the Tightsculpting we have different options. We can use the scanner, which I'm going to show you now, but also for those who are not having the scanner, we have the option of the R34 handpiece, where we have 15 millimeter and 20 millimeter spots. So we are going to use one of them according to the area we are going to use. If you are working on small area, like for example the double chin, then we can use the 15 millimeter spot, so that the pain is going to be less than if we use the 20, which is associated with deeper penetration and heating. Whereas if I'm going to use the handpiece on the abdomen, like today, I'm going to use the 20 millimeter handpiece and spot. So we have the different options, and we are going to demonstrate both of them today. The energy is preset for the first step. As we are going to see, we have two steps. We have the step number 1, which is the piano, where we are using the Nd:YAG, and then step number 2 is going to be the Nd:YAG with the smooth, and this is targeting the superficial layers of the skin, the upper dermis and the epidermis, in order to regenerate the collagen and tighten the skin on the superficial layers of the skin. So this is going to be the second step. We'll start with the step number 1 is the piano, and we are going to select now the L runner, which is going to show you the scanner. And with this scanner we are using fluence ranging between 1 to 1.5, average is 1.2, and this is a very good starting point. And then the spot size is going to be used is the maximum in this case, because we would like to cover a large area, which is pretty large area to be used. One of the options which is going to be soon available in Canada after getting the Health Canada approval is something called matrix view, where we are going to be able to determine the minimum and the maximum temperature in order to have the temperature control in a much easier way than what I'm going to be doing today. Today, because this is not cleared yet, we are going to use the infrared thermometer. However, very soon we are going to have approval of using this matrix view, where it is very easy to set the minimum temperature, which I would set to 41 degrees Celsius in this case, and 45 as a maximum. And then we can also set the time. So we can say that we want this treatment to go ahead for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes according to the area and according to the protocol. So this is again something which we can set on the machine. For example, this is 3 minutes, and in this case, if I say yes on, then after 3 minutes the machine is going to give me a warning that the time set is over, and then we have to move to another area to be treated. So all those are very nice features which were not existing before in any other machine, and this is really revolutionary tools in order to make the life of everyone using the machine easier, make the patient more comfortable, and the results are going to be much more reproducible. And this is a key, because sometimes if we don't have the same protocol, maybe you are not able to have reproducible results. One patient will be having good results and the other will not. But when we are able to standardize every step in the treatment, then it is going to be much more reproducible and the outcome is going to be much better. So those are options which we can use at any time. The matrix view, as I said, it's an excellent option. I prefer to use it whenever it's available, and soon it's going to be available. But till then, we are going to be monitoring the temperature using the infrared thermometer. So now the machine is set. We are going to be using the scanner. The scanner is here. So this is the scanner. We have a very large spacer, and the treatment area is going to be really large, about 84 millimeter square. So this is going to cover pretty good area. I'm going to mark the skin for the areas we are going to treat, so that we are having good markers on the skin in order not to lose the track. So we are going to split the area we are going to treat into two halves. One half is going to be treated with the scanner. The other half is going to be treated with the handpiece, just to demonstrate that both are applicable and we can use any of them. So we are going to treat this area. So we are going to have 2 squares on this side and another 2 squares on the other side. So we'll treat this side with the scanner and the other side with the handpiece. This is the matrix view. So if it is working, this is where it is going to be sensing the temperature and giving feedback for the machine, so that this is going to be the sensor. And then we have a LED color indicator, which is on the other side, so the operator can see it, and this will give a color code. If it is green, then it means that the temperature is below the set temperature. If it is yellow, then this is the right temperature, which we need to keep for a certain time, and then we move to another area. And if it is red, it means that the temperature is above the set temperature. So this is very convenient, very easy to be used. However, this option is not available yet. Soon it's going to be available, and then it's going to be very easy for everyone. So we put the machine on ready. We confirm that we are using the right spot. Of course, the patient is wearing the protective laser goggles, and everyone in the room should be wearing that. So we confirm that we are using the right handpiece. And now we are going to start the treatment. So as we can see, the red, 4 red spots are showing where the laser is going to be applied, and is a scanner, so it will move automatically. We don't need to do much other than pressing the foot switch. So we move to the other part, which we are going to treat. And we keep increasing the temperature till we reach to about 42 degrees. Can I have the infrared thermometer? So now it's 39. So we need to do a little bit more. I started to see erythema, which indicates that we are almost there. We are 41.3, so I would like to have a little bit more. And at this stage, we are not using the cooling. After reaching to the right temperature, we might be adding the cooling for more convenience and so that the patient is not feeling too much heat, as the cooling is going to be confined to the upper layers of the skin. It is not going to affect the efficacy because here we are targeting the fat. So deep tissue heating is going to be still happening even if we cool the surface of the skin. So the temperature now is okay, and we would like to maintain the temperature at that level. So I try to increase the temperature on the other spot I'm going to treat, and then we try to maintain. We can see the erythema, which is very clear on the previous spot. So again, we try to just maintain the temperature. Jennifer, how is it? Okay, so there is no pain associated, and we are still in the comfortable zone. So soon, once I reach the required temperature, I'm going to be using the Zimmer. I'll hook it up to the scanner. And now we are 43 degrees, so we reached the right temperature. I'm going to hook up the cooler. Very simple, very easy. And we are putting it on very low level, so it's only 1, so that we have very mild cooling. So we are putting the cooler on level 1, which is a very mild degree of cooling, just for additional comfort for the patient. And we can see that the treatment is very easy to administer. We are not doing much. We are just pressing the foot switch after applying the handpiece or the scanner spacer on the right spot on the skin. So we can see that the skin is showing erythema, and this is going to be a temporary reaction, which is going to subside within 15-20 minutes. However, the second step, which is going to be the erythema, the erythema might be staying a little bit longer, and this is something the patient should be aware of. It is just like a sun burn or suntan erythema, which can stay up to 1 or 2 days. So we can maintain the temperature, and we can monitor the temperature using the infrared thermometer till we have the matrix view cleared and available. Then it's going to be a much more convenient way to monitor the temperature. So now, when we achieved this temperature, we would like to maintain the temperature for about 10 minutes, and this is how to get the results and the outcome. It is recommended to do 4 to 6 sessions with about 4 weeks intervals. So if we do 1 session every month, this is going to be very convenient for the patient, and I think also it is going to be associated with very good outcome clinically. However, we have to understand that when we are dealing with localized fatty deposits, it's not only the treatment we administer, but also there are some other measures. For example, the control of the diet and some exercise would definitely help the outcome. We don't have magical sticks, and patients have to realize that in association with the treatment we try to help with, it's very important to do their parts as well. So the temperature is well maintained. When we are using the cooling, we expect that the surface temperature is going to be a little bit less. So without cooling, maybe it's going to be 42, 43. However, when we are putting the cooling on, we expect the surface temperature to be a little bit less, maybe 38, 39. And this is still going to be okay because the deep penetration of the laser will ensure that the temperature is going to be adequate in the deeper layers of the skin. Is it becoming too hot?
I think it's a little too hot.
Okay.
It's okay.
As long as it's tolerable, it is okay. So the feedback of the patient is always very important. I'm always keen to get the feedback from the patient, and that's why we don't apply topical anesthesia, because if the skin was heated too much, I would like the patient to tell me. This is a very good protective mechanism. So that's why I don't prefer to apply any topical anesthesia. Now we are maintaining the temperature at the required level. So the treatment will go on for 10 minutes in order to maintain the temperature of the skin for this amount, and this period is required in order to achieve some apoptosis and some lipolytic effect. We can see the redness, which is consistent and homogeneous. And we monitor the temperature to make sure that it doesn't go above the required temperature. So it's 43, which is what we need to see. Jennifer, whenever you feel it's too hot, let me know. So I did set the timer now so that we are going to be alarmed when we are done. All this is belonging to the first step where we are using the ND egg.
That's getting hot.
Okay. Three minutes to go, and then we'll move to the other side using the handpiece. As we can see, the technique is very simple, very easy, and just holding the handpiece or the scanner in the right spot pressing the foot switch and the machine will do its job. So the temperature is at 41. Sometimes after reaching to that steady temperature, what I can do is to be a little bit more mobile. So I'm in a continuous mode and I can move the scanner a little bit off the surface of the skin so that it's going to be a bit more fast, the treatment, so we can really be a little bit more dynamic. This will give us some flexibility so that if we have an area which doesn't have very homogeneous erythema, we can focus the treatment a little bit more on those areas, and vice versa. If certain area is showing too much erythema, like this area, then we can avoid too much overlap or pulses. So the temperature now is almost homogeneous everywhere, and this is what we would like to see. It's about 43 degrees everywhere, and I would like just to go ahead for another 35 seconds as per the machine. Still, this is the first step, the piano with the Nd:YAG, and then the second step is going to be erbium YAG, but we are going to finish the second part of the abdomen, the other half, before we start the second step, which is the erbium YAG. So now the time is over, so treatment time is completed and the machine is stopping, so that it tells us that we are done with the time we set. Of course, this is something we set. We can put 10 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes according to the area and what we would like to do. Usually what we do is that we set the time for 3 minutes in the initial phase in order to reach to 42, 43 degrees, and after that we would like to maintain the temperature for about 10 minutes, and then we set the timer for 10 minutes. This is going to be very convenient, and this is what we'll do. Now I'm going to set the handpiece for treatment of the other half of the abdomen. Okay. So now we did attach the handpiece, and this is the 20 millimeter handpiece because we are working on a larger area. So we have to change the handpiece from the settings. So we select the R34 handpiece, and then we use 20 millimeter spot, and I prefer to use 150 joules with 6 seconds. With the piano we are dealing with seconds, so this is going to be 6 seconds with 150 joules. And then we have to be in painting mode in order to avoid any problem with the skin, so it has to be always in dynamic motion and not to concentrate the laser pulses in one spot. This is very important to be done, and we are going to start the treatment. Okay, so now we are going to be starting the treatment with the R34 20 millimeter spot, and we can see the aiming beam where we are going to start the treatment. We have to be in continuous motion, as we can see. The same applies to using the same handpiece when we are doing the tightening. So it is gradually increasing the temperature. We are scanning the area. So I try to cover the area in a very homogeneous fashion. Now I'm competing with the scanner, so maybe this is a little bit slower but it is an option which is still valid and viable. I scan the laser pulses on the area I would like to treat in a very homogeneous fashion in perpendicular directions to ensure that the coverage of the skin is done in a good way. And I started to see the erythema, so I'm going to check the temperature now. Now it's 41.5, so we need to go a little bit more. Once I reach the desired temperature, I'm going to start to treat the other part as well, with the objective of elevating the temperature there and maintaining the temperature on the first square. The erythema is developing very nicely, very homogeneously. And I think the temperature is there. Just make sure. So it's 42.6, which is excellent. So I'm going to maintain this at this level and at the same time try to raise the temperature in the other square so that we are saving some time. To raise the temperature, I can be a little bit slow in the beginning because I would like to increase the temperature, and then for maintenance I can move my handpiece a little bit faster. So here I am a little bit slow, but then I would like to maintain, so I go a little bit faster. Very well circumscribed erythema, which is confined to the treatment area, and this is what we would like to see. We don't need to be in touch with the skin, so about an inch or less distance between the skin surface and the distance guide is going to be enough, because this is a collimated handpiece, so we are able to use that distance in order to homogeneously cover the skin and distribute the laser pulses in a homogeneous fashion. So the temperature here is 42.3 and here it is 42. So this is exactly what we like to go. And now I'm going to be scanning the laser pulses on both the areas so that we are maintaining that temperature for about 10 minutes from now. 8 to 10 minutes is going to be good. And this is still the first step. Jen, how is the pain? Good. No hot spots?
Not really, no.
So I'm better than the scanner?
Huh?
I'm better than the scanner?
No.
As we can see, the treatment is really very tolerable without anesthesia, and I'm not using even cooling. So this is something which we can do with this kind of treatment because we have the flexibility of moving to the areas which we feel it is having less erythema or we need to have more effect. So it is a little bit more controlled. Of course, the scanner is easier to use and it's going to be more convenient for many people. But this is still, as I said, a valid option which can reveal a very good outcome. So this will go on and continue for another 7 minutes or so. There is nothing much we need to do other than just homogeneously scanning the laser pulses over the area we target, and keeping the temperature at that level is going to lead to good lipolytic effect. In addition to that, this deep heating is going to tighten the skin, and this is something which is really very important. This makes a big difference between technologies which are leading to lipolysis but without tightening the skin, and technologies like that which is doing both lipolytic effect and also skin tightening. If we just dissolve the fat below the surface of the skin but without tightening, then the skin becomes lax afterwards because we are losing the support, the fat support. But when we are doing both effects, then getting rid of the fat and also tightening the skin, this will have a much better appearance for the skin at the end. So the temperature is very well maintained now. And as the process is happening very gradually, we can see that the treatment is not associated with pain because we are increasing the temperature in a very homogeneous and very gradual fashion, so the pain is not an issue at all. We can see the erythema, which is very homogeneous, whereas the other side, which we just finished a while ago, the erythema started to fade and go away. So as we can see that it is not a treatment which is associated with significant downtime. Two minutes more to go. Is it still okay, Jennifer? Okay. So we can see that it is completely tolerable treatment even if we are not using the cooling or any topical anesthesia. Of course, before we start the treatment, it's important to make sure that the skin is cleaned. There is no any skincare products on the skin for better optical penetration and laser tissue interaction. It's important to document everything by taking the appropriate photographs, taking the measurements. This is very important in order to monitor the progress and the improvement which is going to happen after the treatment. We are almost done, less than a minute to finish. And we are done with the first step. So this was the first step using the piano mode with the ND egg for deep tissue heating, leading to lipolysis and also skin tightening. And then we are going to move to the second step using the erbium egg with a smooth pulse in order to target the upper dermis and tightening of the superficial layers of the skin. And also this will lead to collagen stimulation.
Perfect. Sorry to interrupt there.
Yes. Pause. So now we are going to start the second step using the erbium egg with a smooth pulse, where we are going to select the R11 handpiece. And with the R11 handpiece, we are using 2 joule per centimeter square. We are using the continuous mode, so this has to be on gray with 3.3 hertz and 7 millimeter spot. And then we are going to scan the pulses on the area we are going to treat. We use the treatment for about 3 to 5 minutes, and we expect to see some tightening of the skin, which is happening on immediate basis if there is a degree of skin laxity. If the patient is young and there is no skin laxity, we don't expect more than some erythema. We don't expect to see tightening of the skin. So this is something which is going to be variable endpoint depending on the status of the skin and how lax it is. Again, we don't need to use topical anesthesia. The treatment is very tolerable. Sometimes we can use very superficial cooling of the skin because the effect is going to be subsurface. So even if we cool the surface of the skin, there will be no much affection of the outcome and the treatment efficacy. So we put the machine on ready, and we are ready to go. As long as I'm using the erbium egg, so having the glasses is going to be enough, but the patient has to be wearing the goggles, as we know. So I'm going to start the treatment. So we are scanning the area. It's 3.3 hertz, so we have to be moving our hand according to the speed of the machine. I would like to cover the area in a homogeneous fashion. Sometimes the patients are feeling this a little bit more than the previous step, because this is working on the upper layers of the skin where the nerve endings are. So sometimes this is going to be a little bit more painful than the previous step, and if this is the case, I will be using cooling momentarily. So I'm almost done with the first pass. Jennifer, how do you feel?
Hurts a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
This is what I expect. But we can see that the erythema is happening immediately, and this is something which is okay. I just need to see the temperature. So it's 38. So this is what we expect to have 38 or 39 degrees. If the patient is feeling that it is too hot, then we can use the cooler. So the Zimmer is having this handpiece, which is able to pump some cold air on the area I'm treating. So I'm going to do the second pass now. We do the treatment on each area for about 3 to 5 minutes. we can move in any direction. It does make a big difference, but it's really very important to try to cover the skin in a very homogeneous fashion. So this is the second pass. Is it better with the cooling?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the cooling it's much better, more tolerable. So this is something which can help without affecting the outcome of the treatment. Again, we can see diffuse erythema and redness of the skin, which is a good indication that the treatment is working and is going to reveal good outcome. Usually this erythema is going to last a little bit longer than the ND egg. So the ND egg might stay there for an hour or two, but this can stay up to 1 or 2 days. So the patient has to know and be aware of that. I started to see a difference between the two treatment sides. So we can see that here the skin is a little bit tighter than the other side, which was not treated with this smooth pulse yet. So for me, this is a good endpoint, and I would be finishing this area within a minute. So we are done with this square, and then we would like to move to the other square on the same side. And I would start first without the cooling. The first pass, it's a little bit more sensitive, but just to take the temperature to the right level, and then we are going to be using the cooling. A little bit of stretching of the skin always helps in achieving better results. I try to cover the skin very homogeneously. Some areas it's going to be easier to work perpendicular and others horizontal. So it doesn't make a difference. It's according to the convenience of the operator. So now I can start to use the cooling so that it is a little bit more convenient and more comfortable. As we can see, it is a very easy treatment to administer, not complicated at all. Endpoints are clear, and it is very effective, although it is not aggressive or invasive. So we are done now with this half, and then we are going to treat the other half. So we are starting now treating the other half. Always the first pass without the cooling is a little bit more sensitive, but still, she's a big girl and she can stand it. So the first pass is done, and And now with the cooling, we are going to be doing the second pass. So 2 minutes more. Usually those 3 minutes are going to need about 10 passes. So in average it's 10 passes what we need to do. If you would like to calculate it with time, then it's about 3 to 5 minutes. If you would like to do it with number of passes, then it's about 10 passes. Okay. So this square is done. We are going to treat the last square. How is the pain? Okay, so it's very tolerable. The cooling helps definitely.
Yeah.
So 2 more passes to go. And the last pass. And we are done. So we can see that the skin is having very mild erythema, diffuse homogeneous erythema, and this is a very good endpoint for that kind of treatment. We expect this erythema to stay there for maybe 1 or 2 days, and this is the maximum. This is a treatment which is effective, with no downtime, with no consumables, and a device which can do that treatment in addition to many other treatments. This is one of the options, and it's a very good option today.